And welcome to the Marcus and Mike show. I am Mike. The man over here to my left is Marcus, the freak. Marcus, how you doing today, bud?
Doing pretty good. Not so much a good scenario if you're a Golden State tired of seeing Golden State all the time. Not a good scenario painting for the rest of the NBA with Milwaukee and Toronto. Looks like they might go seven, so that kind of sucks. But other than that, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, it is what it is. You need to gloat a little bit because you did pick a seven-game series. You did pick that the home teams would hold serve, and it's holding true to form as of right now. So you definitely need to pat your back a little bit there. But before we get into that series,
Right.
let's go ahead and start with your Houston Astros leading the major league in wins. They have Justin Verlander killing it as always. What are your thoughts on the Houston Astros there? Like, do you
Uh,
think they're going to win the series?
is it too early to talk Cy Young? I mean, because
Never. It's
normally
never too early, man.
yeah, normally we don't start talking about that till like after basketball. But man, Verlander, he's now 8-1 with a 2.24 ERA. I mean, dude is killing it. I mean, this man since he's come over from the Tigers. I mean, I think he went 5-0 the in 2017, and then he just kicked butt in the last year, and he's just taking up where he left off last year. And the guy is unbelievable. Um, yeah, the Astros are leading in ERA, in bullpen, and I think I don't think it's in starters, but it's in bullpen. They're the league leading ERA. They're just amazing. And then they're doing this without Jose Altuve right now, and the bats are clicking. I mean, this is just good stuff. I mean, the city of Houston and the San Antonio, who the majority of us are Astro fans, were in shock last year when Boston beat them 4-1, because Houston looks like they were primed up for back to back. He had Verlander in his second year,
Yeah.
and that was kind of shocking. But it looks like Houston has come back to form here. They were of 2017, and they look really good. And Verlander looks like he's on the way to the Cy Young. I know it's early, but he's 8-1 with a 2.24 yeah 2.24 ERA. So this looks really good. The Astros looks like they don't normal they're their normal selves the past 3 years. Wasn't it Sports Illustrated? I think that said I think it was like the 2013 cover or something. They said the 2017 Astros, or it was the 2011 cover. I don't remember what cover it was of Sports Illustrated, but Sports Illustrated predicted that the Astros would win the 2017 World Series and become somewhat of a mini dynasty. And I think Astros are on their way to doing that, especially if they can get this World Series in after the shock of last year of losing to Boston 4-1. But Astros look really good. Verlander looks strong, and this is everything that we like here in Texas. The Astros doing well.
Yeah, just to add to your few points that you made there, Sports Illustrated, I believe it was a 2011 edition. They also said in that same cover story that the 2014 Kansas City Royals would be doing well too, and they nailed that right on the
Yeah.
too. The Houston Astros took a playbook from the Kansas City uh, minor league system there, and like how the Royals built from the minor leagues up to their major league team there. This is a true meaning of trust the process that the
Yeah.
Houston Astros and the City Royals both trusted. They both built from the minor league system up, and then they add a couple pieces when the time is right. Speaking of Justin Verlander, there, I really thought he was highly over overrated when he played with the Tigers because of the competition that he was playing. He was playing against Kansas City a lot, the Indians and the White and the Sox, all teams that were really down. So you see him getting 12, 15, 16 wins. 10 of those 16 wins were coming against the Indians that were crappy, coming against the White Sox that were crappy, and then coming against the Royals too when like they were still down. Seeing him still be as dominant as he was with the Tigers and now with the Astros, it is a really big surprise to me seeing that, and I stand corrected. like after saying he was over maybe not overrated, but like overhyped. I think like year
Well,
in
it's
and
weird.
year out.
He's gotten even better. It's weird. He's gotten even better since he left the Tigers, which is I don't know whether it's a rejuvenation thing or what, because his ERA is actually better
Yeah,
than it was with the Tigers for a few years. So, yeah, I mean he's doing really well. Yeah, I see your points about the competition and all that, but I mean now he's kicking butt. So yeah, I'm glad you said you stand corrected there. That's yeah.
yeah. I mean, just coming from the Royals fan base as myself, I hated facing him because I want to say he had a 900 percentage like getting like he would beat the Royals at least 9 out of 10 times. It was just ridiculous, and it was always like 17-2 games. It was so lopsided wins like they always came like against us. And speaking of lopsided wins, last night the Raptors laid it on the Bucks last night, 120 to 101 or 109. I can't remember. It was 100 points. So, but like it was
120 to 102. Yeah, I think.
it was a slacking by the Raptors. You called the win last night. I did not. I definitely got that pick wrong. And I'm gonna take my L and kind of let you talk about the series a little bit.
Well, I mean, Milwaukee didn't show up, and I'm talking about the others that are trying to help Giannis Antetokounmpo. The funny thing is, I mentioned Chris Middleton had to show up yesterday, and the funny thing is he did show up, but their defense didn't show up. That's not the Milwaukee Bucks defense that I've seen all year. They didn't get any contributions really from anybody else. Eric Bledsoe, here we go. It seems like every series we have one or two guys that where you at, put the APB out on them.
Yeah.
Eric Bledsoe is missing. I don't know if he knows that there's a series going on, but the Milwaukee Bucks kind of need him here. It's kind of important, and this is a nightmare scenario for people that are tired of seeing Golden State Warriors win championships, which I'm gladly one of them. The Golden State Warriors now get to rest for seems like weeks, days. I mean, this is ridiculous. And now
6 more days of rest.
Yeah, and I mean, and the finals, the date's already set, so it's not like if this thing goes to 7, the Eastern Conference Finals, that the finals gets pushed back more or gets moved up more.
Right.
The finals date's already set, May 30th, Thursday night. So that's written in stone already. But you just wanted Milwaukee or Toronto, somebody to hurry up and win this thing so they can get some rest, and that's not happening. I predicted the Milwaukee Bucks at the beginning of this series, Milwaukee in 7. I think everybody was going to win their home games. That looks like that's happening now. I wanted to be wrong last night. I wanted Milwaukee just to end the misery of this and end Toronto. Kawhi Leonard is hobbling. That's not good. I mean, if Toronto ends up winning this series and Kawhi Leonard is about 60-70% against the Warriors, that's going to be absolutely terrible. That's really a nightmare scenario for the NBA who wants to see a good competitive finals. That would be the worst scenario, a hobbled Toronto team in the finals. But that being said, I'm going to go back to I wasn't on the show at the beginning of the season, but my prediction for the NBA finals was the Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors, and I had Toronto winning the championship because of getting Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard and having the defense of players that Toronto could put out there could stop or make life hell for Golden State, and Toronto would just score enough to beat the Warriors in the finals. That was my prediction way back in October of 2018. So, but what I didn't factor in is how good the Milwaukee Bucks would be with Coach Bud implementing his system. And now Milwaukee has a top 3 defense, top 3 offense, and they're cooking on all cylinders all season. They're beating people's heads in. I think it was like an NBA record. They won games, like 52 games out of the 82 by like 10 points or more. So they're beating people up. They haven't shown up here on the road yet. They show up at the beginning, then they lose steam, and Toronto's winning these home games. But let me go back to my prediction. I predicted Toronto to be the champion coming out East in last October because they're their defensive team. And then part of the reason was I picked him as OG Anunoby, who's not playing. He would be the third defender there to go against the Warriors. We haven't seen him yet this playoffs, He was Toronto's best defender before Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard showed up. And if you remember, do you remember your prediction? Everybody's prediction of the Eastern Conference was bought the Celtics because of what they did last year. Yeah, everybody was saying, oh, and then now they're getting Hayward and Kyrie Irving. And my counter to that was the Toronto Raptors defense is now getting Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard to go with OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Serge Ibaka. That starting five would not let the Celtics score. And an early regular season game this year, the Celtics trotted out their 5 great scorers, and Toronto's trotted out their 5 great defenders, the ones I was just talking about. And Toronto whooped their butt. And my son and I were watching the game, and we're saying, you see how Boston can't score on Toronto? But that's when they had OG and Anunoby, who's not playing. They had Kawhi playing at it. Kawhi was playing. Danny Green was playing. Siakam. The Celtics could not score on Toronto. I mean, everything was a struggle. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, Toronto's going to be in the finals, and they're going to make life hell on the Warriors. But now, flash forward to now, there's no OG Anunoby. Kawhi Leonard's hobbled. So that's almost a recipe for disaster against the Warriors. So I was hoping that the Bucks would go ahead and end this. Let's hope the Bucks. Listen, I'll tell you right now, whoever wins Game 5, I just hope ends in Game 6. But I think it's going to be the Bucks. I mean, Bucks have not shown up defensively. They didn't show up last night at all in Toronto. Defensively, they were a mess last night. And so, and Kawhi, you tell Kawhi Leonard was hobbled. He had 19 points, and they still won by 18. So Milwaukee needs to get a reality check here. They got one last night. I think they need to go back to the drawing board. What made them so effective defensively in games 1 and 2? What made them effective defensively against the Celtics? Go back style, and they will beat Toronto. So I hope Milwaukee hurry up and wins Game 5 and ends this in 6, so we can hurry up and get Milwaukee get a little bit of rest before the finals. The good news is Milwaukee's going to have home court advantage. So when they beat Toronto, they won't have to travel to Oracle. They're in Golden State. They'll be at home on Thursday night, May 30th. The Milwaukee Bucks. So that'll be the time that Golden State does not have home advantage in the 5-year run here. They're going to the final.
Yeah, that is definitely a big step for them. Like having to be they're not the underdog, but like the road, like the dogs on the road there. And I am glad you brought up the Kawhi injury like a little bit. I'm not for sure what exactly is wrong with him, if it's his knee or his ankle, but this goes to show you that anytime you toy around with teams, play extra overtime minutes and like stuff like that, anything can happen. Just like with the KD injury and like now the Kawhi injury, playing that double overtime game, definitely took a toll on his body. 52, I believe it was 53 minutes in a game, with that 36 points, definitely took its toll on him, and it is now showing. I am in the same boat as you are. I do hope the team that wins Game 5 does win Game 6, but I want them to do it, kind of in like a dominant fashion. Like I don't want a close game. Like I want a open and shut book type of case. Because if this game does go 7 games and Kawhi is still hobbled, he only has 1 day's rest to get ready for that Golden State series, and that is a recipe for disaster 100%. And the minutes are starting to add up on the Milwaukee team as well.
I think it's just 2.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You just think what?
No, I think it's just 2 days rest. But your point is well taken. Even 2 days rest is not going to get Kawhi ready.
Yeah, because the Bucks had a sweep in the first round, and then they played 7 games, and then if they play 7 games here, that's a lot of minutes on those kids' legs. So end it in 6 games. So wipe your hands of it and get at least an extra 2 days rest. That would be fantastic for anybody playing in this final series versus Golden State.
Yeah, and I was really disappointed in Milwaukee last night. They gave up 65 by halftime, and I don't know the stats on this, but I I watched Milwaukee probably 20 times out of their 82 games, which is, and I don't, they never gave up 65 at halftime in any of the games I watched. So they gave up 65 points to come back in the second half and quickly, get back to being, and they didn't. They ended up doing another or 60 point, whatever they gave up in the second half. And so, and Coach Nurse, give him a little credit. He's using Gasol a little better. Put him down there in the box. He did that really more in Game 3, but Game 4, Gasol's hitting threes. Gasol can do that. Marc Gasol. So you can double Kawhi and challenge other shooters.
Right.
Go ahead and do it. He's going to nail the threes. I mean, he's a good shooter. And let me say this. Norman Powell is one of those guys that we'll talk about the NBA draft coming up in a few minutes, but Norman Powell is one to find in that late first round, early second round that can contribute to rough. And Toronto found him in 2015, one of those diamonds in the rough. It's like he was a second round pick, and now Norman Powell has been in their program a couple years, and he's paying dividends now. He's one of those guys that you hope to find in that 2000. Norman Powell has been absolutely fabulous, and I don't know what's going on with Giannis's three shooting. He's turning into Shaq or something. I mean, this guy was a decent free throw shooter this past year, and now he is almost like he's barely drawing rim. It's weird. Are you Shaq or what? I mean, I don't know what's. Is it his stamina because he's had to play things and use his legs more against Toronto? They're making him work more, so when he gets to the line, he doesn't have his legs quite.
Yeah, I definitely think 100% it has to be his legs. I mean, he has never played this far into a series, and it is pretty crazy to think that like a professional athlete can lose his legs just like that. But we had a little technical difficulties there, and we are back. And we were talking about Giannis's free throw shooting, and I piggybacked on your leg issue there, about how he, the legs are definitely tired. He has never played this far into an NBA season, BF4. So you can go ahead and finish your thought on that if you like.
Yeah, no, I mean he's just got it because that's essential to winning a championship. You better hit your free throws. I mean, he shot away with it, but it didn't go to Shaq at end of games. They had Kobe Bryant. Some guy named Kobe Bryant. And then he has some guy named Dwayne Wade, whoever that is. And so those are the guys they went to at the end of games. I think Shaq only hit one in his entire career. Think about how great Shaq was. He had one game winner against Utah most of the time in his entire career because the Lakers didn't go to him in the last few seconds because all you would do is foul shot or go over two. So now you can't have that happen. You can't turn into a hack of Shaq where he's only shooting like 50% from the line. They will not win anything in the next round. They won't win a game. To be at least a 75% free throw shooter for them to even have a chance to win this series or in the next series. He's not the summer. He's barely drawing rim. It's ridiculous to watch. I thought turning into Shaquille O'Neal, but let's hope he gets that corrected. And just on a side note here, Drake, the artist Drake, golly, he's up. He's almost on the court for Toronto. He's hugging. He's grabbing Coach Nick Nurse's shoulder. I mean, dude, sit down somewhere. Man, if I was a referee, sit in your the arena or single sit down. Literally, I've never seen this before. Jack Nicholson didn't even grab Pat Riley. He's literally grabbing Coach Nurse on the shoulders and giving him a little hug and touch on his shoulders. Dude, I don't think I give him a technical, but I thought next time he grabs the coach. This is during the game. This isn't after the game. Drake is getting on nerves.
Right.
Sit down somewhere.
Yeah,
and a side note, got to go off a little bit there.
Yeah, I kind of want to add to your little side note there. It looks like if this this holds suit that Milwaukee wins all their home games, for every team that the Rapper has voted for has lost in the championship games. So just kind of keep that at will.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He's like the kiss.
It's the curse. It's the
Yeah, he's like the kiss of death, right? Picks,
yeah.
God, please pick Golden State.
Wouldn't
Yeah, I
that
mean,
be
pick Golden State.
something? Well,
Right.
let's just like you alluded to a little earlier here. We do have some draft talk happening. Yesterday, if you guys missed the show, we picked Marcus had a 1 through 10 picks that his mock draft for the NBA, and today we're going to go through 11 through 20. So Marcus, let us have us. Who are your 11 through 20 picks?
Well, the Timberwolves have to get better, and I think they will get better. He didn't show very well in the combine. He lost a lot of weight, which is a little disturbing. I'm talking about Bol here with the Minnesota Timberwolves with the 11th pick here. The guy's 7'2", and he weighed like decent. It's still pretty skinny, but now he came into the combine at 12, which is, man, I mean, you want to be thin, but not that.
Right.
But he's still a supreme talent. The guy still is a heck of a talent. I think Minnesota will take Bol with the 11th pick. The 12th pick, Charlotte. Jackson Hayes, I think UT, the Charlotte Hornets pick there, rebounding, some shot blocking. The 13th, Rui Hachimura, Gonzaga. I think that's a really good selection. Boston Celtics, Daniel Gafford. He's kind of like Jackson Hayes, not as good as Jackson in that role. I think he's just as good. So I think the soccer rebounder runs the floor. I think the Celtics would do very well with him. And here's your guy, the 15th pick, the Detroit Pistons taking Romeo Langford out of Indiana. I think he's a multifaceted, multidimensional player. That can get his shot. Struggled a little bit for me from 3-point range in college, which I think he's going to get better at that. Pistons need talent, and Romeo Langford would add to that Pistons organization. Remember we talked about in the playoffs, we're like all they have is Drummond and Reggie Jackson and sometimes Blake Griffin, but they need a 6'7" wing that can create his own shot and take some of the pressure off there. So Romeo Langford's a good pick. Orlando's up and coming team too. I like Orlando, and I have them and Kevin Porter out of US 6'6", 220. I think add him into Orlando's program, and I'll tell you right now, Orlando's on that one game in the kind of August and hit the 3-pointer. Beat Toronto in that game 1. So that was interesting. I have Brooklyn. He was one of my sleepers yesterday with the 17th selection. Louis King is a deep. Brooklyn. The 18th pick, I have Indiana taking Nasir Little from North Carolina. He says he wants to be the next Kawhi Leonard. Well, he's definitely going to get his shot because he's going in the first round of the NBA draft to the Indiana Pacers. Nasir Little kind of shoot Nasir Little. He's going to be really good. He's got to get him shooting the ball really well. San Antonio Spurs with the 19th selection. I got them taking KZ Akpala, 6'8". He was another one of my sleepers. He's moving up. I don't think he'll last that long in the regular draft. This is my draft, but it's possible that he can go anywhere from 11 to 15. KZ Akpala out of Stanford, 6'8". He can also another one that can guard all 5 positions, and he's a heck of a defensive player. And he can shoot the ball real well. You can throw him alley-oop dunks. He's good on the pick and roll situation. So I would take KZ Akpala for Stanford, San Antonio. And then here's your guy, Boston with the 20th selection, taking Tyler Hero from Kentucky. The Celtics getting Tyler Hero with the 20th selection, a guy that can run you rampant around screens, just like with Stephen Curry and Thompson. Right. Tyler Hero, the exact same thing, running you around screens and hitting shots. Kind of reminds me of Hamilton. Tyler Hero got a shot. when he runs and hits shot. The draft to me, everybody says it's a weak draft. I really like this draft. I think you get good value from anywhere from 3 to 30. I mean, those are a lot of those players are kind of jumbled up. A lot of them are not going to be for sure all stars, but they're going to be really good contributors.
Yeah, the one person that I am surprised that you don't have in your top 20 is Keldon Johnson from Kentucky. Um, Keldon was by far the best player at Kentucky. Uh, I believe at one point he had no, I'm sorry, that was Tyler Hero that had 20 points in like 17 straight games or so or something like that. But Keldon Johnson, do not sleep on him. He's a very good pick. He is going to be a steal for whoever gets him if he drops out of the top 20 for sure.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely a top 15 talent.
Yeah, he won't drop out of the first round. That I guarantee you. Yeah, he could easily go in the top 20. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So also, just some food for thought here, just a little inside touch here. Romeo did play on the same AAU team as Darius Garland, and I believe you had him going fourth to the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, he definitely has high skill range. He is definitely a little underrated. If you guys remember earlier in December, January, February timeframe, ESPN had him going as high as 4. So for him to drop down to that 13th, 14th, 15th range is kind of eye raising. So like, what exactly are the scouts seeing or like not seeing from him is like my biggest question that I have out there right now.
Yeah, no, you got 3 Kentucky players: P.J. Washington, Keldon Johnson, and Tyler Hero. They're all going to be first round picks. They're all probably going to be top 25 picks. So we'll see what happens there. I do have them in my first round. I don't have them in my top 20. I have Hero's actually in my top 20. I just mentioned Hero.
Yeah.
But yeah, PJ Washington will definitely be pretty soon coming up in my 21 through 30 picks, and so will Keldon Johnson.
So just to recap a little bit, like we were having a little bit of connection issues. We should have that fixed by now. But can you go ahead and quickly recap your 11 through 24, or actually just go ahead and do your 1 through 20, just for people missed it yesterday.
Okay, well, I mean, starting at number 1, Zion Williamson's 1, John Morant 2, RG. I won't say the teams. I mean, people should know it. R.J. Barrett 3, Darius Garland 4 to the Lakers, Jarrett Culver, DeAndre Hunter, Kobe White, Rui Hachimura, Sekou Doumbouya, Bol, Cameron Reddish, Jackson Hayes, Brandon Clark, Daniel Gafford, Romeo Langford, Kevin Porter, Lewis King, Nasir Little, KZ Okpala, and Tyler Hero, rounding out my top 20 draft picks there. Tyler Hero going to the Celtics.
All right, guys, there you go. That is Marcus the Freak's first top 20 picks, and we will continue the draft tomorrow, and we'll finish out the first round tomorrow. But as of right now, I mean, college football is about 94 days away. I believe it is now. Maybe, yes. 94 days away from what my calendar says here. And this week, starting on Wednesdays from here on out, we are going to pick one of the top or one of the Power 5 conferences and kind of talk about it just a tad bit. And today we're going to talk about a conference that is near and dear to my heart and definitely your heart as well. The Big 12 Conference, the best conference in America, the Big 12. So with football season starting in 96 days, who do you got winning the Big 12? Let's just put it out there right off the bat. Who do you got winning?
No, I listen. Oklahoma has been recovering, and Lincoln Riley's a hell of a coach, by the way. Don't get it wrong. I mean,
yes.
It's possible he's either going to jump to the NFL pretty soon, or he's going to be a lifer there at Oklahoma, like become Nick Saban of the Big 12, I guess. But I'm picking Texas to win the Big 12 this year because of how they finished last year, and they're bringing back the starters, a lot of starters that they had last year, and more importantly, they're bringing back their quarterback Sam Ehlinger, who's a heck of a quarterback. And the only reason I'm not picking Oklahoma to be number one because they've won the conference the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And they usually have a monopoly on it. Is we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. If they were coming back with Kyler Murray, to be honest, I would pick Oklahoma. But they lost Marquise Brown. They lost Kyler Murray, obviously. But the quarterback's a big deal to have that foundation, repetition and all that. And I think Sam Ehlinger, this is the year that Tom Herman and Sam Ehlinger take that next step and become Big 12 champions. And I don't think Oklahoma's going to fall too far off. But Iowa State is going to jump in there and is going to challenge Texas and Oklahoma. I'm not predicting them to. I'm predicting Iowa State to come in third, but it wouldn't shock me at all if they upset some people and ended up, if they upset Texas or upset Oklahoma, then Iowa State could finish second in the conference, led by Coach Campbell, Matt Campbell there, Iowa State. They're bringing back Brock Purdy, who's a really good quarterback for Iowa State. And so they have that continuity there. The same quarterback coming back. They were really good last year. Iowa State's making an improvement. I think they've won like 16 games the past couple of years.
Yes.
And I think those stay right there. So the top three, I don't even want to get any further than that, but the top three is Texas, Oklahoma, and Iowa State. And can Iowa State win the Big 12? I think it's a little too early. I think maybe we'll see how the Brock Purdy develops. But they can make noise. And all it takes is to get one or two games. I think they got Texas at home, which is a big, wow, that's a sellout already.
Yeah.
And I think they have Oklahoma and Oklahoma State on the road. So we'll see what happens there. But those are the top three: Texas, Oklahoma, and Iowa State. Then the rest of the conference is fun. We'll see what happens. There's some new coaches. We still got the 40-year-old coach. Is he still 40 at Oklahoma State? The 40-year-old ball coach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's pushing
he might
like
be
50
still
or
40.
60 now, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he might be still 40 though. I'll give him 40. Matt Rule is doing a really good job there at Baylor, bringing that crazy program back with rape allegations, and some of them were actually allegations, some of them were false allegations. But other than that, it was like a scar in their program. Matt Rule is bringing them back a little bit. I like the way Matt Rule's done. Coach Patterson at TCU is always good.
Yep.
Bill Snyder's always good. And then let's see. Oh, Dana Holgerson is out at West Virginia. He's now the coach at Houston. And let's see what Les Miles does with your Kansas. Les Miles has been a pretty good coach. I wouldn't call him the greatest X's and O's coach, but I'll tell you right now, Les Miles gets the most out of his team, the most out of his talent. And they're gonna need all of Les Miles. That's a very good hire for Kansas, getting Les Miles. So we'll see what happens there. This is gonna be fun. And Texas Tech's always fun. Yeah. You could coach the team, and I could be your assistant. In Texas, we're still going to score 40, 50 points, right? So Texas Tech's always fun. So the Big 12's fun. I know people are always down on the Big 12, no defense and all that stuff, but it's fun to watch, and we have top-notch talent in the Big 12.
Well, let me start off there right at the bat. KU is not my team. I hate Kansas with a passion. My Kansas State Wildcats.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're Coach
beat
Snyder
them again.
Yeah. I stand corrected there. I got excited. Your coach Bill Snyder there in Manhattan. That's right.
But this is something that KU needed, was a big offensive coach, or like a head coach hiring in Les Miles, and he is bringing a buzz to that city that hasn't seen since Mark Mangino was there when they won the Orange Bowl back in 2008 or 7. Can't remember.
Yeah, they had
sure.
Aqib Talib.
Yeah. And they hadn't won a conference game pretty much since that point. I believe they won five conference games since 2011, I believe it is. So
hey, Michael, let me ask you a question though. You hate Kansas, but if Kansas was playing in a bowl game, for the Big 12, and see if we can get some Big 12 wins, you wouldn't root for Kansas versus Iowa in a bowl game?
I will always root for the Big 12 conference in a bowl game.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that.
But half-heartedly be rooting for them. So
I understand.
But
I do that with college. I won't do that with professional sports.
Yeah.
I don't root for the Washington Redskins if they're in the Super Bowl.
Never.
You
always root against them.
for the power of the NFC East. Yeah. That's crazy. I don't want no Washington Redskins or Giants winning a Super Bowl. No, but I root for the Big 12. Like I'll root for Texas Tech, and
Yeah.
I'll still root for A&M because they're in Texas. You know, if they're in a bowl game.
Yeah.
But so I'm glad you said that you'd still root for Kansas.
Yeah, I think as a college fan in general, like you have to root for your conference teams.
Yeah.
So I don't care if that's basketball or football or baseball, softball. Like you have to root for your conference because when your conference wins, it brings more money ultimately to your school. Therefore, going to Florida and Texas and recruiting those big name players to even further your program in the end.
Right.
But let me get back to the conference title here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Iowa State. They are definitely a sleeper team that many people will be overlooking this season. Will they win the Big 12 regular season? No, that will go to Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is going to win the regular season, but Iowa State is going to face Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, and Iowa State is going to snub Oklahoma in that championship game.
Oh, wow.
So I think Iowa State will technically win the Big 12, but they will not win the Big 12 regular season, just because they never seem to really step up against like KU or K-State. So they always lose those games that they shouldn't lose. But they always seem to step against Texas and Texas Tech and Oklahoma for some reason.
If you have Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game, your big game then is Texas is at Iowa State this year.
Yeah.
So
I think they beat them there.
Okay, then Iowa State will be in the Big 12. Then Iowa State could play Oklahoma then in the Big 12 championship. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have Texas losing 3 games this season. They will lose to Oklahoma, lose to Iowa State, and lose to Kansas State as well. For some reason, your Texas Longhorns cannot beat my Kansas State team. It just like I believe a couple years ago we were the Texas State championships. We beat Baylor, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Texas all in the same year before Texas A&M left for the SEC, like obviously. And we've kind of owned Texas since then. We play them really well. Snyder seems to have a good game plan against them. I don't know what it is, but you guys might be Superman, but we are your kryptonite year in and year out. Just to add to some thoughts here, is people think that is Oklahoma and Texas, and then the rest of the league. You guys really have to sit down and look at this Iowa State team, look at this Kansas State team, even look at Texas Tech. You know, they're all solid 6 to 7 win teams. They will be in a bowl game and like they will make some noise in the postseason. As a Kansas State fan, like sadly, I am rooting for them to do bad this year so we can replace our elder head coach. It is time to bring in some fresh blood and get a new head coach in there. Just a little bit of insights. Back when Snyder retired the first time, back in 2006, we actually had Patterson in Manhattan, Kansas. Actually, I'm sorry, cut that out. We did get a new head coach. I totally forgot about that. Kansas State signed the head coach from North Dakota State this year. His name is slipping my mind. So Snyder is out. We signed the North Dakota State head coach. I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. So
Snyder is out at I actually forgot about that as well. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm not in football mode right now. I'm forgetting who's
right. And I'm in basketball mode as well, but I totally forgot, because we actually signed the North Dakota State coach the week before they went and won their 5th Division II national championship game, and he was in Manhattan, Kansas, promoting himself and the program and stuff, and then he flew back to wherever the championship game was, won the championship game, and then returned back to Manhattan. So that is my fault 100%, guys. We're talking about Snyder aging and whatnot. I totally forgot we signed that guy, and that was a big hire. Because North Dakota State did beat Kansas State a couple years ago. So
the head coach is Chris Kleiman.
Yes, he is. I believe he won 4 or 5 Division II national championships up at North Dakota State. So very good coach. So
he's a good coach. Yeah, absolutely.
So look for K-State to continue their 6 to 7 win seasons as usual. Give him three years to get his system and his guys in,
Yeah.
and then he'll be back at the top of the Big 12 soon, I bet.
Yeah, no, yeah, he led North Dakota State to a few championships there. I mean, he's a heck of a coach. Yeah, so I'm glad Snyder stepped down. I mean, he's done all he could do there. He's brought that program back to prominence, and we'll see what happens. That's what I mentioned earlier. Big 12 has a few new coaches, and that's what's also exciting about the Big 12. You got Les Miles at Kansas, Chris Kleiman there at Iowa State. There's a new coach at Texas Tech. So this is exciting stuff for the Big 12.
Yeah, all great things, and that was. I definitely apologize for giving you guys misinformation there before. I was thinking, but it is what it is. It's Wednesday afternoon. It's storming. It's tornadoes outside. So like it is what it is. But join us tomorrow, guys. Marcus will reveal the rest of his first round mock draft, and then Friday we'll get into round 2. So any closing thoughts before we head out?
No, we'll just see what happens with this. There's no basketball tonight, which is a little weird. That happens in a few times in the playoffs where there's no basketball. Thank you to the terrible Portland Trailblazers for doing that to us.
You're welcome.
They couldn't get a game. Those dogs can't stand the Portland Trailblazers. Can you get one game there? I mean, it's pathetic. The Clippers got 2 games. Houston got 2 games, and you dogs couldn't get one game against the Warriors without Kevin Durant. And then they give Coach Stotts an extension. And I like Coach Stotts, but he's just not an X's and O's coach, as I explained the past couple of weeks. And you saw that. They got their heads blown in defensively and offensively. It was horrific to watch. So that's disappointing. But other than that, no, I have a good night, though. No basketball. I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, definitely get some sleep, catch up on life like a little bit, and kiss the babies good night. And we will definitely see you guys tomorrow. We will work out these internet issues that we had previous in the show. Seems to be working good now, so we'll get that squared away for you guys next time. And we're out.